Live from Idner Architects, this is Issues in Education. Here to lead a roundtable discussion with leaders in education is moderator John Carney on KTRS.
As we continue with our roundish table, brought to you by Idner Architects from the METC conference at St. Charles Convention Center, we move into digital citizenship. And helping us here, Dr. Donna Jenke, Superintendent of Ladue School Districts, Orlando Sharp, the STEM Program Director and YMCA Community Development and STEM Pact Facilitator, Julie Smith, too, Adjunct Professor, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, also Webster University. And we have another student with us from Rittner, and we'll meet Kaylin coming up in just a bit. So thank you all for being here and being a part of this. I never heard of digital citizenship. So as I read about it, it's not so much about the technology, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, except for the student, you don't get to correct me. That this is about not just the technology and not just the education, but how they're able to use it to express their voice in a day and age where everyone feels pretty much compelled to express their voices. We'll start with Donna because she's got the fanciest name tag. Dr. Jenke from Ladue School Districts. Do you find that a lot of kids are being a lot more politically active, socially active, sit-ins, things that we haven't really seen since the 60s?
I do. I think kids are, really well prepared to, I think our students are really well prepared to share their opinions and get more involved in the politics and in other things that they want to express, things that they're involved in, things that they're passionate about, and I think that's really important.
Does it get in the way of the education, though, sometimes?
Well, I think, we want our students to be able to express what they think in a way that engages other people in conversation, and I think that's what we need in the world today. So that's really a big focus of what we're doing in schools today, trying to teach kids how to have discourse in a way that they are respectful and able to engage another person in a dialogue about something that they disagree about in a respectful manner.
There was an author, Bill Bennett, who was, I forgot what his role was in the government, but he was something, I think, in the Reagan administration, wrote a book called The Death of Outrage, and it was about that. It's like, how come people don't burn their bras anymore? Where are the signs? Where are the protests? And now it seems like we have gone completely the other way, and there's protests and sit-ins about absolutely everything. So I guess careful what you ask for, possibly. STEM, which is science, technology, education, and math, as a program, and its director, Orlando Sharp, is with us. So let's talk about that, because science, technology, education, and math, rooted in academics. But do you find that social issues have been spilling into all of those areas also?
Most definitely. And I'm going to say science, technology, engineering, and math. But education is the platform in which we embrace it. But yes, social issues and service learning is becoming very important in the classroom. And so as we do, as part of the YMCA, we try to integrate that so we can support that system.
Does the Village People song still help or no?
Most definitely.
Yeah. And thank you for gently correcting me that it's engineering and not education in my acronym. I have a lot to keep track of. Julie Smith, adjunct professor at SIUE and Webster University. Address this from a college level. Do you find that they are a lot more politically involved and socially involved than maybe when we were in school?
Actually, I think the biggest issue that I face with my students is their inability to determine what is real and meaningful and valid and true and what is not.
Fake news, basically.
Exactly,
sure.
Exactly. With their experience, it seems like they're much more interested in what they believe than what is true. If they see something online that they wish to be true, they're less likely to check out its validity. And adults are the same way, right? We like what we like. We like to be affirmed. So my struggle with digital citizenship is getting my students to acknowledge the biases that they bring to the experience and how to recognize what actually is real.
Maybe it's because I'm in the media, but I just know that everybody has an agenda because it's human nature. We may say fair and balanced, or, we're very objective, we're very unbiased. We give you the news, you decide. But you know what? The person that's going to decide what story is going to lead, what reporter is going to cover what story, they've got a bias that they may not even be conscious of. Everything is skewed one way or another.
Right. Right. And that's what we do, a lot of exercises in my media literacy classes where we try to teach critical consumption and teach them the roles that editors play in how we determine what's important, what people talk about, what the narrative is, because we really don't get that much of a say anymore. Nick Bilton wrote a book called I Live in the Future, and Here's How It Works.
Yeah.
And he claims that our students can't distinguish between material produced by the Washington Post or KTRS, for example, and material produced by Joe down the street. That if it's online and it looks legit, they're going to believe it. And that, I think, is problematic down the long road, you bet.
So let's get the perspective of the up-and-comer student that is consuming this information. From Rittner, Kaylin Hogan got the day off. Congratulations for that. You still got to work. So talk about, you're online, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter. You see a story that says, the Democrats are responsible for this, or the Republicans have done this, and look at the trouble it's caused. Anybody can put that stuff up. They can cut and paste, and this looks like it's something right out of the news. So when you consume this stuff and you look at this, what's the internal conversation as to, is this legit, or do you just assume it is?
Nonstop. I'm always looking at media, and whenever I'm looking at media, I always look at the source for one. Like, one thing I was looking on Facebook like 5 minutes ago. If you see something about Trump or anything, you look at the source. You look at how many other sources are saying it. You actually find things to back you up. And then other than that, it's like, I'm always on media. I'm always thinking of, what's true, what's not true, what should I look out for, what's the best thing to know. And then whenever I take in that information, I try to educate my friends and all that, and to not believe the other things that they shouldn't be believing.
So how do you do that? You got a strong belief about something. You don't like Trump's appointment of this, or you don't like a state law that just got passed from Governor Greitens, and you want to express your displeasure. Yeah. What's your platform? What do you use?
Most of the time I'm using CNN, a lot of, just really for real, just anything that is accredited, anything that I know for sure I can go through for good news that is actually backed up with accredited information, something that a lot of my peers and a lot of my wisdom that comes from a lot of my adult figures, a lot of people that I trust. If I know that person is doing the same things that I'm doing, then I'm going to take the information from them, and also even challenge them to go to different things to make sure to get both sides of the view. Because if you have both sides, then you're not biased. If you believe in one thing, then you're going to be biased towards another, and you can't do that, especially when it comes to news, because it's all about the truth, and it's all about what actually is going on, and not just one side of the story.
It's refreshing to see you that engaged, and let me turn to you, Dr. Jenke. Do you find in your school district in Ladue that the teachers have trouble sometimes to get their students as engaged as he is, because they're just kind of caught up in, does she like me? Does she not like me?
Well, I'm thrilled to hear him talk about how he's vetting the information that he gets and really looking for several sources to really have some evidence before he moves forward. I think that's the citizenship piece. And when you talk about digital literacy, it's really how do you vet information. But the citizen piece comes in when you shoot that information out in whatever source that you use, whether you send it out on Facebook or through your email account or through your Instagram account or whatever the latest social media piece is. That's the piece that you have to make sure that what you're sending out really is accurate, and it kind of identifies you as a digital user.
And at the Y, Orlando Sharp, you're outside of the educational structure of a school. You already are immersed in society because the Y is always a social hangout. It's where people are. Do you find that they're also exchanging those ideas and concepts and expressing their pleasure or displeasure where you are too?
Definitely. Throughout our teen leaders and youth and government programs, our kids are participating in service learning and social justice all the time. And so we want to teach them how to use their voice in the correct manner, and digital citizenship is the main goal there. So if they're able to vet the information and share it out appropriately, then we think we are being successful.
Is it a challenge to convey that enthusiasm in a child without sounding like just an adult telling me what to do?
Oh, well, I'm one of the cool kids anyway. So the first part is about that student voice. So once they're able to take control of the narrative as an educator, you have to learn how to facilitate and manage that in the correct space. So whether they're speaking amongst their peers or whether they're sharing out with board members, they have to understand their audience and what's appropriate. So it's a great opportunity. I see digital citizenship as strengthening our communities both locally and globally. So those kids are not just sharing out in their neighborhoods, in their areas, but they're actually traveling around the world, participating with groups all over the United States. So.
And I know I started out by whining, talking about everybody's complaining about everything, but I'll tell you what, I would take this anytime over just the passive attitudes where it's just like, well, whatever. And I think digital citizenship does a lot to not only get kids fired up, but express their enthusiasm about things and take stock in their world and what's going on. And you guys have had so much to do with that to our youth, and a tip of the hat to all of you. Julie Smith from SIUE in Webster, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Jenke, thank you so much. And I love that name tag, by the way. Orlando, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Kalen, you got the rest of the day off, dude. So
man.
Enjoy that, and thanks for your insight.
Not really off, but
Keep telling your friends to think for themselves, for sure, and this will be a better world.
I'm going to recruit him to actually help my adult friends vet information.
I don't blame you. 11:37. It's the Issues in Education Roundtable.